Hi, my name is Jacqueline Thibodeau, and I'm a clinical social worker that works with people who've been impacted by their partner's sexual addiction. My hope with these videos is to provide some resources and support that you might not be able to get otherwise. The idea about this experience is so big. Having someone who in your life you thought you knew and maybe now you don't can be incredibly painful. And before we start talking about terminology and what that might mean, I want to begin with the words of people who've been directly impacted. So I'm just going to read a few quotes. And the first one is from a woman who states that it's scary because he's shown me that he's capable of lying and deceiving. And I never would have thought that marrying him, he'd be showing me that he's capable of these secrets for years and years. Another person says that they're confused because where do the lies start and where do the lies end? It's very confusing. It's very frightening. It's very lonely. And at times, it's very terrifying. And then finally, another person stated that it's probably been one of the hardest experiences in my life because you're involved with somebody that you think you know, but you really don't because of all of the secrets and the deceit and the lies. When I hear those quotes, I think it really demonstrates the incredible impact of being betrayed by a loved one. So I'm going to start with what that might look like and why that might be. And the reality is that all of us, all humans, are designed and wired to connect with one another. That's how we've survived for so many years. We've been there to look after one another and support each other. And we might have lots of really important relationships in our life. And usually, though, there's one or two kind of primary relationships that we depend on for our survival. Usually when we're young, they're our parents. As we grow older, it can be our partner. And typically, people call that attachment. And when we feel attached to our partner, we feel that they're there for us, that we feel loved and respected, that we matter, and that we feel safe with them. And when there's been a discovery or a disclosure about a sexual addiction, it can feel like we cannot trust that person. We don't know who they are. And it's a terrifying experience. And what that results in is parts of our brain being activated, making it feel as if almost our complete survival is at risk. Even though physically we might be safe, it's the concept that we are in almost physical pain. And that is what we call a traumatic response, betrayal trauma. And just like I spoke about earlier with the idea that this is in our brain, this is part of being wired for survival. When that is threatened, we go into a trauma response. So even though our life isn't literally at risk, it can feel like it. It feels like we are fighting for survival. And people often say that relational trauma can be one of the most painful trauma experiences because you have been totally deceived, and it impacts not only your relationship and not only your relationship with your spouse, it also impacts your relationship with yourself, with your other family members, with your children, with your friends, with your community, with your spiritual community, and it just really distorts so many different pieces of your reality. So I'm going to be talking a little bit more about betrayal trauma and what that might look like for you or for someone that you love who might be experiencing the impacts of someone's sexual addiction. Lots of the people I talk to who have been impacted by their partner's sex addiction, they talk about feeling crazy. They talk about feeling not themselves and out of character. And what I want to tell you is that you're not crazy. Often what people experience and what you might be experiencing is something symptomatic, or the symptoms, the kind of output of feeling like you are at risk of survival, of feeling betrayal trauma, relational trauma. And we can use both of those phrases. The idea that this is going to look different for everyone. If you almost think of, something like being shot, the idea of feeling that pain, feeling like your life is at risk, everyone's going to have a different response. And typically all the responses are built in there to try to keep you safe. So just like that can have a different output for each individual, just like these betrayal trauma symptoms might feel different for everyone. Some of them might fit for you and some of them might not. So I'm going to just share them, and I want you to take some time just to reflect what this might be looking like for you. So we can talk about feeling in total shock and denial. A lot of folks I speak with, they maybe knew for a little bit of time, and it takes weeks, months, sometimes even years to fully recognize what's going on, that they're just in total shock. Other experiences can include feeling anger and rage, feeling just totally violated and upset, and having that anger response. Can feel hypervigilant, which means trying to control your environment around you, trying to create your own sense of certainty, because everything as you know it has been uncertain all of a sudden. The other kind of experiences can include under or overeating, sleep disturbances. A lot of the people I talk to have problems with their jaw tightening. There can be physical, emotional, and spiritual impacts. Can really just extend to all different parts of your life. Lots of different ways that this betrayal trauma can kind of unfold, and knowing that this is normal and in some ways healthy, and that it doesn't have to be the rest of your life. This is an experience right now of you processing something incredibly painful, and that you are not alone. A lot of times when we're in betrayal trauma, A, it's confusing and disorienting. We don't feel like ourselves. And B, there's so much shame attached to sex addiction and to feeling betrayed that we often isolate. We don't reach out to others. We don't share our stories, and often just avoid even connecting with other people. I want you to know that you are not alone, that this experience impacts a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And seeking support or help can be incredibly beneficial, whether it's through a counselor or support group, or talking with someone who you trust and love, someone that feels safe to you. My encouragement is to do that connection piece, because often it can really help move towards the healing and the recovery piece of moving forward from the betrayal trauma.